Okay. So hello, you lovely children. How are you? Welcome back to another super cool, super amazing biology live session on super wonderful Avanti platform. So we are going to learn today neural control and coordination, which we all know, right? We have already started off with this topic. So we are going to continue with the same topic today. And today's topic is very, very, very interesting. What are we going to learn today? Last class, what we had learned? What we had learned last class? Yeah, Shushma is asking me that can I speak something? Yeah, I can. I'm speaking, right, Shushma? Yes? What do you want me to speak? Yeah, today we will be learning about brain. Yes, Naren. Yeah. Last class, what we had learned? Just a quick recap. We had learned nerve impulse conduction and generation, right? Nerve impulse conduction and generation. There is any doubt from this topic? Is there any doubt from this topic? Nerve impulse conduction. Any doubt is there? You can ask now. I had given few homeworks as well. Is that done? Homeworks are done? Homeworks are done? Yes, no? Are the homeworks done? Okay. So I want you to put your videos on. Okay? Turn your videos on. Fast. I can see only Parvati, Vadiraj. Yes. Hi. Harish, Abhishek. Okay. Yeah. So all of you have done. If you have done, you can put a thumbs up. You can show me a thumbs up if you have done. Show me. Yes. Sign language. Yes. Perfect. All right. Okay. So if there is some data issues, then you can turn off your video. All right. Whenever I ask you to turn on your videos, you need to turn on. All right. Cool. So today we'll be learning about synapse. Last class also we discussed about it, right? Synapse. Yes. So from this also I had given you one homework. Electrical synapse and chemical synapse. Yes. We have. Okay, so we have very, very new student today, Vaishnavi. All right, Vaishnavi. I'm giving you my number here. You save my number, okay? And then after the class, you can contact me. All right. Cool. Okay, let me check once. Rashmi ma'am, where is she? Yeah, now I can make her co-host. Rashmi ma'am. Just a sec, okay? Just a sec. Let me make Rashmi ma'am co-host so that you can ask doubts. Yeah, done. All right. Yes, so synapse. In synapse, what we have learned that you have presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane, and in between there is a gap, right? And that is called a synaptic cleft. Yes. So synaptic cleft, presynaptic membrane, and postsynaptic membrane. That makes your synapse. Yes. Then we have two types of synapse. Anyone knows the types? Two types of synapse. Two types of synapse, electrical and chemical. Yes, electrical and chemical. Yes. Did you find out the difference between these two? Electrical and chemical. Did you find out the difference between these two? Yes. So quickly tell me which one is fast. Which one is fast? Electrical or chemical? Electrical is fast. Perfect. Then tell me, in electrical, do you get synaptic cleft? Synaptic cleft? Yes, no? No. In chemical, you get it. Right? Yes. Now tell me about electrical is found more in body or chemical synapse is found more in body. Which one is found more in body? Is it electrical or chemical? Perfect. Found more in body. And electrical is found less in body. Okay. So this is the difference between electrical and chemical. Major difference. There are so many other differences, but we need to learn these two. Okay, electrical and chemical. Now what actually happens at the synapse? Why do we say that electrical synapse is fast and chemical is slow? That we are going to see. Okay. Yes. So first, which one do you want to see? Chemical or electrical? Electrical, chemical. Which one do you want to see? Electrical. Okay. So electrical, as I told you that there is no synaptic cleft, right? So if this is your presynaptic membrane and this is your postsynaptic membrane, there shouldn't be any gap, or gap should be very, very minimum, very, very less, very, very less. Okay. So it should be something like this. Okay. So this is membrane of previous neuron and this is membrane of next neuron, right? So this is the axon terminal part and this is the dendrite part, right? We know that dendrite will be receiving the signals. Yes. Now, how are they connected? How are they connected? That is the question. Since chemical is not going to give the stimulus. So what is that which is going to give stimulus? How membranes are joined? By junctions, right? Remember gap junctions? Yes, awesome. I have got the answers. Okay, so it is connected by what? Gap junction. Gap junction. So whenever stimulus comes this side to the axon terminal, it will be transmitted to the next neuron through the gap junction, right? So directly the membranes are connected. Directly membranes are connected. There is direct flow of impulses from one neuron to another neuron in case of electrical synapse. Got it? Yes? Yeah? You can do this? No? Yes? Okay. Yeah, got it. Coming to chemical synapse. What happens in chemical synapse? Chemical synapse. So what happens in it? Let's say this is your axon terminal, right? Synaptic knob. From here, Ankita, wherever you are texting now, that is correct. Okay, you text here only. I can see your messages. So chemical synapse, what happens? Chemical. What we will be using? We will be using chemical to transmit the impulses from one neuron to another neuron, right? So we have what here? Vesicles, synaptic vesicles. Synaptic vesicles have what? Neurotransmitters. We have learnt it. Most common neurotransmitter is acetylcholine, right? Now think, there is a gap here and then you have to transmit the impulse to the next neuron, dendrites, right? This is what is your synapse. From here you need to transmit impulses to the dendrites. Obviously, यहाँ पे you have receptors. What do you have here? You have receptors present over here. Yes, this receptor will receive the stimulus. But what is that? It is going to be chemical. Since it is chemical synapse, chemical will be helping. And what is that chemical? Tell me. Acetylcholine, right? But how the acetylcholine from this is going to come into the gap? How are they going to come into the gap? It is a bag, right? You need to open the bag or not. If you want to take out the books from the bag and the bag is closed, you need to unzip the bag or not. Otherwise, you will never be able to take out books. Similarly, over here, you have synaptic vesicles here. I am telling acetylcholine has the information that this much impulse should be created. But how this is going to come here? That is the question or not? How is it going to come here? So see here, when the synaptic vesicles, when the impulses, the depolarization impulses have reached till here, inside has become positive. When this happens, there is a channel which opens. There is a channel which opens, and the channel is what? Calcium channel. Which channel? Calcium channel. All right. So you see that calcium will go inside. What is happening? Calcium is going inside. You will observe this already. Already the charge is positive or not inside? Depolarization. And what are you sending in? You are sending in what? You are sending in positive charges. More and more positive charges you are sending inside. What will happen? Too much impulse will be created. And due to that, what will happen? Calcium ion is going in. No. Calcium, it's an ion that is going in. It will get concentrated. Right? And that will do what? More calcium will push all the synaptic vesicles to come at the peripheral part of the membrane. They will come at the peripheral part of the membrane. When it comes to the peripheral part, what will happen? It will burst. The synaptic bag will burst through the membrane and it will come out into the gap. Acetylcholine will come out into the cleft, synaptic cleft. Got it? What is that ion? Which is that ion which is responsible for rupturing the synaptic vesicles? It is calcium ion. Whenever there is depolarization, which has reached to the axon terminal, calcium channel opens, more calcium comes in, that push the vesicles towards the periphery and leads to the rupturing of synaptic vesicles, and due to that acetylcholine comes into the synaptic cleft. Got it? Yes? Chatra, why so sad? Why are you sad? You can smile. Alright, so acetylcholine goes and binds to the receptors present on the dendrites. Now what will happen? You can get two types of stimulus. Here the chemical is acetylcholine, right? If you have something else like GABA, yesterday we learned, not yesterday but last class we learned, right? Like GABA is what? Inhibitory chemical, right? That will inhibit the next neuron to get stimulated. But acetylcholine will excite the next neuron, right? So acetylcholine will bind, and if it binds, what do we want? Think. Which channel should open to depolarize the membrane? When the acetylcholine will bind to the receptor here, which channel should open? Dendrites have received the stimulus. It will take it towards the cell body. Which channel will open? Think. Which channel? Sodium. Awesome, Chetan. Sodium channel will open or not? When the membrane is in resting stage, that time it is impermeable to potassium, right? Whenever any stimulus comes, it becomes permeable to sodium or not, right? So now what will happen? Sodium channel will open. What will happen? Sodium channel will open. And when sodium channel will open, what will happen? Positive ions coming inside, and that will cause what? Depolarization. And this depolarization is only what? It will create action potential. Getting what I'm saying? Yes? No? No? Have you got it? If you have got it, do this. Yes? Okay. All right. So see, again, I'll repeat this. Acetylcholine will excite the next neuron, chemical. All right. How? Whenever the impulses reaches to the axon terminal, calcium channel opens. All the calcium push the vesicles to the membrane side. It ruptures, acetylcholine is released. Since it is a chemical which is passing the information to the next neuron, we say it is chemical synapse, right? Now this acetylcholine binds to the receptors. Stimulus has come here. Whenever stimulus comes, membrane becomes permeable to sodium. So sodium influx will happen, which means positive ions are coming inside, which means depolarization will take place and the information will be passed to the next neuron. Yes, got it? Now, this type of potential which is exciting the next neuron is called as what? What is it called as? Can I call it as excitatory potential? Right? This is your excitatory potential. Excitatory potential. Right? Because it is exciting the next neuron. Yes? How about having a synapse, presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane? Yes? And what has come here? GABA has come. Gamma aminobutyric acid. GABA has come. Now GABA will do what thing? It's an inhibitory potential, no? It's the inhibitory chemical. What will it do? Will it open positive channel to the next neuron? Think. No, it will open a negative channel. And what is that negative channel, you know? Chloride channel. What will it open? Cl minus channel. So whenever GABA comes and binds to the receptor present on the dendrite of next neuron, what happens? It opens negative channel. If negative is coming inside, what is happening? What is happening? Membrane is becoming more negative inside or not? If membrane becomes more negative, will it cause depolarization? Because we know that membrane should become what? Inside it should become positive to cause the depolarization or action potential. Right? Got it? Everyone got it? In inhibitory potential, you have what? Which channel opens? Chloride channels, which makes the membrane more negative. And when the membrane becomes more negative, tell me, if you have revised it, you will answer it. Minus 70 to minus 80 millivolt. The membrane is called as what? I can see, Prakriti, you can answer here. I can see. Membrane becomes hyperpolarized, right? Hyperpolarized. If membrane becomes more negative than resting potential, it becomes hyperpolarized. Yes? Yeah, we have learned it or not before. Now let me check that how many of you have done the homework, right? You need to show me the homework. I had asked you to make a chart, no? Table. If you have done it, show it to me. Fast, quick. Show it to me. I'll see whether you are doing homeworks or not. Fast, turn your videos on. Turn your videos on and show the homework to me. You got time, right? Spurti, I'm seeing it, yes. Chetan, perfect. Vidyashri, did not do homework. Abhishek? Acha, asking for the homework. Chetana, I have got it. Okay, I'm scrolling the videos now. Parvati, I have seen Ankita, yes, Adi, Praveen. Why you are showing is black? Spurti, where is it? Vijayalakshmi, done. Basavaraj, done. Basavagala, done. Shreya, done. Shreya, did you do it? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, almost all of you have done it. Great. Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. Yes. So that is your electrical and chemical synapse. Okay. Electrical, gap junction, chemical, acetylcholine. In chemical, we have seen excitatory, inhibitory. Excitatory, open sodium channel in the next neuron. Abhishek has got it down. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. And then in inhibitory, we have what? Chloride channels. Chloride channels open in inhibitory. All right. Yes. All right, Praveen. No problem. That is why black. No, it was black. Okay. Now, so moving ahead. Are we all ready to go ahead? Yes. Brain. Now we are going to learn our brain. Central nervous system. Right? I hope all of you have learned nervous system properly. Neurons, generation of impulses. Right? Yes. Cool. Brain. I'm telling you, you need to have full concentration here for learning brain. Okay. Otherwise, you will get entangled in the concept of brain. All right. Okay. It's okay, Soumya. No problem. You should do the homework today. Complete the homework today. Brain. So it makes your central nervous system. Right? Brain and spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord. So we will see one by one. First, we will be seeing brain and then we will be seeing spinal cord. Okay. Brain. Tell me this. The nerves which come out from brain are called as what? Cranial nerves. Right? The nerves which come out from spinal cord called as spinal nerves. Yes? Perfect. Okay. Now, see, when we were in mother's womb, all right, when we all were in mother's womb, in our mother's womb, there was a structure called as neural tube. There was a structure called as what? Neural tube. When we were developing, when we were embryo, okay, when we were embryo in mother's womb, small, okay, all right, yes. So there is something called as neural tube. Neural tube. We know that nervous system origin is what? Ectodermal, right? So this neural tube gave all the structures which we see in the brain. Okay, neural tube. All right. So neural tube gave us the entire structure of brain. All right. So see, this is your neural tube. All right. See how simple this is now, right? When you were embryo, just a tube-like structure, anterior part and posterior part. Anterior part and posterior part of neural tube. Okay. Now slowly what started to happen? You see your brain is big, right? It is big, no? It's not, is it a tube? Does it look like a tube? No, right? It's like a sphere, right? Ball. So what happened in it? Swellings. What happened in this tube? Swelling started to came. Okay. It started to swell. All right. Cavities started to develop. So what happened after this? Cavities started to develop. All right. Something like this. Swollen region. This is called as, I don't know how many of you are going to follow it. Just have full concentration, you will understand. Okay. prosencephalon, which you know what it made? Brain has forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, right? Yes. So prosencephalon made your forebrain. It made your forebrain. Then you have what? Mesencephalon. Some of you know it already, right? Mesencephalon. It made what? Midbrain. Right? Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Yes. This is your forebrain. Okay. Inside this you have midbrain. And down you have what? Hindbrain. All right. This is what? Your rhombencephalon. Rhombencephalon. This made what? Obviously, it made your hindbrain. So sometimes in MCQ they ask you that prosencephalon made what, mesencephalon made what, and rhombencephalon made what. Okay. So repeat it. Repeat these words. All right. You can repeat there itself wherever you are sitting. Prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhombencephalon. Cool. Now we are going to see some ears. Okay. In the cavities. After that, what happened? The development started to happen like this. Okay. Looks good, no? Yes. Yeah. So here you will have the prosencephalon. Prosencephalon. First you had prosencephalon, no? See this. Prosencephalon. The prosencephalon has become like this. This is your prosencephalon. This is your prosencephalon. Okay. So now see what has happened here. This ears which you are seeing, no? Ear-like structure. That is your telencephalon. That is your telencephalon. Then here, this eye-like structure, that is your rhinencephalon. Rhinencephalon. Okay. This part is your diencephalon. That is your diencephalon. Telencephalon, rhinencephalon, diencephalon. You got from prosencephalon. You got it from prosencephalon. See, brain, right? You need brain to understand. Prosencephalon gave you telencephalon, rhinencephalon, diencephalon. All right. So telencephalon has what? Cerebrum. See, you can interlink all these. We are going to learn these structures, right? Yes. Cerebrum. Rhinencephalon. Rhinencephalon are these two structures. What it consists of? Olfactory lobes. It consists of olfactory lobes. Okay. Diencephalon. Diencephalon. What all things it will consist of? Thalamus. Okay. Hypothalamus. Epithalamus. Thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus. That is your diencephalon. Okay. Got it? These are part of your prosencephalon, which means it is what? Forebrain. That is why, remember, in NCERT, if you read, you will read that forebrain consists of cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, olfactory lobes. Right? So in NCERT, they have not given you the history of it, like how it is actually getting formed. Yes? So this is forebrain. From where you got it? From where? Which cavity? Prosencephalon. Right? Yes? Done. Now coming to the next part, the middle part. This is very easy. This will give you what? This is your mesencephalon. And this will give you what? Midbrain. This will give you midbrain. Right? Now the remaining part, this is what? This is going to give you hind brain. Okay, this is going to give you hind brain. But in hind brain, you have three things no, in hind brain. Pons. What all structures you get in hind brain? Pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. These three things, right? Yes. So now what you are going to get is two things you will get. Pons, cerebellum, and the third thing is what? Medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. All right. So this is going to make your hind brain. Pons and cerebellum you get from metencephalon. You get it from metencephalon. And medulla oblongata you get from myelencephalon. You get it from myelencephalon. Now quickly I'll just revise it for you so that you don't get confused. So this myelin and metencephalon, they are part of what? Rhinencephalon. See, prosencephalon gave you what? Prosencephalon. These telencephalon, rhinencephalon, diencephalon, part of forebrain. Cool. Come to this. Mesencephalon is simplest, right? Mesencephalon gave you midbrain. Okay. Here also mesencephalon gave you midbrain. Yes. Now, then you have rhombencephalon. Rhombencephalon gave you what? Metencephalon and myelencephalon. Gave you what? Metencephalon and myelencephalon. Metencephalon is what? Consists of two structures, pons and cerebellum, and myelencephalon consists of medulla oblongata. Cool? So this pons, cerebellum, myelencephalon, all these together make hind brain. These all make what? Hind brain. Yes? Rhombencephalon got evolved into development. No, slowly from embryo we got developed. So that developed into metencephalon and myelencephalon. All right? Got it? Prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon. Prosen forebrain, mesen midbrain, rhomben hindbrain. In prosen we got divisions: telencephalon, rhinencephalon, diencephalon. Then in rhomben we got divisions: metencephalon and myelencephalon. Got it? Yes? Now it is easy, no? Forebrain consists of which all parts? It consists of cerebrum, diencephalon, and olfactory lobes. Then midbrain consists of which all parts? We will be seeing. It consists of corpora quadrigemina. Right? Remember, optic lobes and corpora quadrigemina. And then hindbrain consists of pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. Cool? All of you have got it? All of you have got it? Yes? Okay. All right. So brain. Keep this brain active as much as water you want you drink. Okay? You should learn this here only. Later, when I am not there, it will be very difficult to understand. Okay? So try to understand now. I am going very slow. Now another more concept you want to learn? One more concept of brain you want to learn? Yes. So see, this cephalon, I saw someone asking me what is cephalon. Cephalon means your head part, related to your head cavities. Related to your head cavities. Okay. For head cavity, for brain cavity, we also use a term called as ventricles. We use a term called as ventricles. Okay, I am imagining each one of you that you are going to become doctors. That is why I am investing all this time. Okay. All right, ventricles. Cavity, brain cavity is what? Ventricles. We were talking about it, right? That it was a tube. It was a tube. Then it became like football. How? Cavities came, no? In that cavity, now we have cerebrum, diencephalon, midbrain, hindbrain, right? So first, initially what had happened? Initially you got cavity, right? And in that, then you got foldings of the brain, right? Cerebrum and all, forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Okay? So we have brain cavities, all right? Brain cavities. How many brain cavities do we have? Anyone knows? How many brain cavities do we have? Can someone answer that? 3 brain cavities, Naren says. 3 brain cavities. 4 brain cavities. 3, 2. Okay. So we have actually four brain ventricles. Okay. We have actually how many ventricles? 4 ventricles. All right. 2 in the lateral part. 2 in the lateral part. Now you can imagine that your brain is developing, right? These are your 2 ventricles in the lateral part. In the lateral part, you can see, no, this is your broad part, and then it side, posterior side, if you see, it goes narrow, right? So this is your lateral ventricles. Okay, side ventricles. Cool. Then this is your first ventricle, second ventricle on the sides. Then this is your third ventricle. This is your fourth ventricle. So you have 4 ventricles in the brain. Third ventricle, and then fourth ventricle. All right. Yes. So we have 4 ventricles, 2 lateral, then 1 middle, and then the most posterior part, 4th ventricle. This is your third ventricle. This is your 4th ventricle. Got it? 4 ventricles of the brain. Yes. Okay. You want to know more? How the ventricles are connected to each other? Yes. Okay. So we'll learn that. How ventricles are connected to each other. That we'll be learning in the next slide. So let's say this is your first ventricle. This is your second ventricle. All right. And this is your third ventricle. Slowly, one by one, we will see. Okay. Now, we have known this, that this is your first ventricle, this is second, and this is third ventricle. Don't you think they should be connected to each other? You have so many structures, no, inside. They should be connected to each other, right? How are they connected? So for your ventricle, for this ventricle and this ventricle, there is a connection. For this ventricle and this ventricle, there is a connection. Cool. So there are a pair of connections over here. There are a pair of connections over here. And what is that called as? What is that called as? Anyone knows? Foramen of. I know for most of you, these things are new, right? Yes. Foramen of Monro. Yes. So since we are learning brain, we should learn new things. I'll tell you which part of brain is responsible for learning new things. Yes. All right. So we have 4 ventricles, 2 lateral, 1 middle, and 1 posterior. 2 laterals are connected to the third ventricle. Two lateral ventricles are connected to the third ventricle by foramen of Monro. By foramen of Monro. All right. So this is connecting these 2. Done. Now next, I'll change the color so that you understand it better. Third ventricle to fourth ventricle. Let's say after third, I am getting fourth ventricle over here. Fourth ventricle. Okay. Now think, your third ventricle and fourth ventricle should also be connected or not? They should also be connected or not? Third and fourth ventricle? Yes, awesome. Yeah, I have got answers now. Yes, yes. So you are getting it right. That proves. That's good. Yes. So here the third and fourth ventricle are connected by, they are connected by aqueduct, a duct. They're connected by a duct called as cerebral aqueduct. You can also call it as duct of Sylvius. You can also call it as aqueduct of Sylvius. It has another name called as duct of Iter. These three names are there for this duct, which connects your third ventricle to fourth ventricle. Got it? Yes? Yeah, okay. So cerebral aqueduct, duct of Sylvius, duct of Iter. These are one, okay, one, but three names are there to connect third and fourth ventricle. Now, think this is your brain, okay? This made your brain or not? Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. This made your brain. But you know that outside brain meninges are there to protect? Outside brain meninges are there to protect? Yes. So meninges and brain, they are connected or not? Think. Meninges and brain, they are also connected. Now, think this. You have a fluid inside your brain which prevent you from shock. What is that fluid? Awesome. Everyone knows. That is cerebrospinal fluid. Yes. Now think from where that is coming. From where that is coming? Your brain needs it, no? So who is going to create it? Your brain? Your brain will create, no? Yeah, I have got the answer. Veer has given the answer. Plexus. There is something called as, slowly we will learn. There is something called as choroid plexus. There is something called as what? Choroid plexus, which are present in your ventricle. Which are present in your ventricle. What is that? Choroid plexus. Choroid plexus. These are present in your ventricle. What they do? They release what? Cerebrospinal fluid. Alright. This cerebrospinal fluid, here also you have choroid plexus. Here also you have choroid plexus. So all over the brain you have cerebrospinal fluid. But cerebrospinal fluid is present outside also. It is present outside the brain also, you know, because from outside also you need to protect your brain or not. Bony structure is skull, right? After that, three meninges are there, and then you have brain. Yes. So outside also you have CSF. So you should have some connection, or not to the outer environment. Yes. In between the ventricles we have seen connection. Now since CSF has to go outside also, you should have connections to the outside part of brain also. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So for that we have connections over here. I use which color? Green I use. Okay. So here in the fourth ventricle, a pair of openings, and here one opening. Okay. There are three holes. Okay. What are they called as? These two on the lateral side are called as, what are they called as? Foramen of, yes, they are called as what? Foramen of Luschka. Foramen of Luschka. Okay, foramen of Luschka. All right. SC. I have written extra H. Okay, foramen of Luschka. So this foramen of Luschka will help in what? This foramen of Luschka will help in taking the CSF out. All right. What is this then? What is this called as? I have got the answer already. Someone has answered. This is called as foramen of Magendie. This is called as foramen of Yes, V. This is called as foramen of Magendie. Okay, foramen of Magendie. So we have some ICSE students here, right? So they know these things, right? So whenever we will have some doubts, we will go to them and they will clear our doubts. All right. We have some students like V, Meghna, and maybe some other. Prakriti, are you also ICSE students? Those who are from ICSE boards can text me. Nidhi is there. Okay, nice. So yeah, so maybe you have better idea of these things what I am telling. But from now on, we are on the same page. We are on the same page. ICSE, CBSE, state, we are all on the same page. Okay? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what we learn quickly, go through it. How many ventricles? How many ventricles? Do it in the form of dance step. How many ventricles? 4 steps. Yes, four ventricles. Now after that, tell me the 2 laterals connected to the middle one by what? Foramen of Monro, right? Come to the next one. The 3rd and 4th, they are connected by cerebral aqueduct. Yes? Yeah. Now finally, you need to connect the brain to the outer part. You connect it by 3 structures. What are they? A pair of foramen of Lashka, 1 pair of foramen of Lashka, and 1 foramen of Magendie. 1 foramen of Magendie. All of you have got it? Yes? Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right. So now you might have got the idea, right? That here you will have what? Cerebrum. Here you will have your forebrain, right? And here you will have midbrain. And here you will have hindbrain, right? Medulla oblongata will be there. And medulla oblongata will continue to the spinal cord. Yes? Getting how brain got formed, neural tube, through that swellings, ventricles, cavities, then forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon. Yes? All right. So Naren is asking what is the function of foramen of Lashka. Foramen of Lashka as well as foramen of Magendie. Functions are same. Since you need to supply CSF to the overall brain, you require more openings, right? So function is same. Yes, Vankita is helping. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So that is brain. Any doubt is there? Any doubt? Yes? No. So we will be learning now. We'll be learning what? Forebrain. We'll be learning what? Forebrain. Yes. We'll be learning forebrain. Whatever we are learning now, make flow chart. Make a flow chart. After every class is done, make a flow chart. Especially for this chapter. Forebrain, first part. Forebrain. Yes. Now see, there are several views. There are several views to look at your brain. Okay. All right. So there are several views to look at your brain. If I ask you to see this part, I ask you to go up. I ask you to go up and look at my head from the top. Look at my head from the top. That is one view. Okay. Yes. So from top you will be seeing only this structure or not? From top you will be seeing only this structure. Top view. Now if I ask you to sleep on the floor, I ask you to sleep on the floor and I am sitting like this, and then I am telling you to see my brain. You are sleeping on the floor and looking at the brain. What view you will be getting? Posterior view, back view, right? Posterior view, inferior view. Yes. Now you are sitting in front of me now, right? And now you are seeing this part of the brain. If you cut my brain and then see, right? What will you be seeing? What is that view? Ventral or dorsal? This part. What is this? Ventral or not? Right? If I ask you to see this side, see this side, what will you be seeing? Dorsal view. Yeah, Ankita, yes. Dorsal view. Yes. All right. If I tell you to see this side, what will you be seeing? Which view? This is which view? Side view, right? You can also call it as lateral view. All right. So there are different views. So from one side, you can see only one part. In the book, in NCERT, the view which we are seeing is which view? In NCERT, the view which we are seeing is which view? Lateral view, right? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to draw the lateral view now. Lateral view. Watch some videos on brain today, okay? Watch some videos on brain, opening of brain, anatomy of brain, okay? Lateral view. All right. So in the lateral view, what will you be getting? Frontal lobe, only side part you will be able to see, right? Frontal lobe. Then something like this you will be able to see. Only half part. You need to imagine a 3D picture. Only half part. The other half you will not be able to see, right? This is what part? This is what part? Frontal part. This is your frontal part, right? What is this part? This is your parietal part, right? What is this part behind the ears? If you have ears this side, if you have ears this side, what is this part? Temporal part, right? And this is your occipital part. Yes. So now we are going to learn in all the areas, frontal area, which all centers are present. Okay. In your parietal area, which all centers are present. If I'm speaking to you right now, what is that which is making me speak? If I'm speaking English, which center is responsible? If I learn German, which center is responsible? All these we are going to learn. You will see people that they are very fast in learning languages. And you will see people they are worst at learning languages. For example, me, I am very bad in learning languages, right? Some of my students have realized it, right? Okay, so coming to the centers which are present, which they control. All right, yes. So frontal. First, we will learn frontal lobe. Frontal lobe. So what all things are present here? Okay, so many have the same problem like me. All right. So first center, we can say it has motor area. Motor area. Your frontal part of your brain, forebrain, has motor area. What is the function of motor area? Motor area function. It will control voluntary movement. Okay. Motor, no, motor. It will control your voluntary movement, right? Voluntary movement of muscles, right? Next, we can discuss premotor area. Premotor area. What is the function of this? Involuntary, yes. Involuntary movement of muscles, and you can say some part of autonomic nervous system. Yes. Next we can learn Broca's area. Very important. Broca's area. I am speaking now is because of what? Broca's area. My speech is regulated. I go high, I go low, I speak loud, slow. All these, the way I speak, that is because of what? Broca's area. speech. Okay, responsible for speech. Broca's area. If someone's Broca's area is not working fine, you have heard no people what to say, like so in Hindi we say that is tutlana. You know what is tutlana? Yes. In English you say this term. I don't know you are aware of this term or not. Lispic. Tutlana. In English we say lispic. Right? Yeah. Toddling. Yes. So Broca's area, if that is not working fine, people have trouble in speaking properly. Yes. Now next we can learn one more area in this. Prefrontal area. Prefrontal cortex. This is the area where we can store maximum memory. This is the area where we can store maximum memory. Right? Whenever you forget things in exam, what do? Your fingers go to the forehead and then you start thinking. Right? So your frontal part saves maximum memory. That is for memory. Prefrontal cortex, memory. Okay. So here you should have more number of ganglia. Here you should have more number of cytons, right? Memory cells. More neurons should be aggregated here. More cytons should be aggregated in the prefrontal cortex. More folding should be there in the prefrontal cortex, right? They all are interlinked, right? You become more intelligent. Yes. So Vivek is asking what is the full form of ANS, autonomic nervous system, Vivek. Okay. So that is your frontal lobe. Second. Got it? Your memory, your voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles control, and then your speech control. They all are present in your frontal lobe. Okay. Coming to, we will learn parietal. So parietal is this part, no? Parietal lobe. When we were learning locomotion, we had learned this part is your parietal lobe. Parietal lobe, tell me what do you get in parietal lobe? What do you get in parietal lobe? Yes, Tanmay has answered it. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. What do you get? Soma or SOMES, somesthetic area. Somesthetic area. What is the function of this parietal lobe? Somesthetic area. Yes, perception of general sensation. Okay, general sensation can be touch. Someone touches you, you feel it, right? Pain, you feel pain, right? There are people who will not feel pain. There is this dialogue, right? Mard ko dard nahi hota, but it is never like that, right? Everyone feels the pain if the center of this somesthetic area is working. Yes, all sensation you would feel. If you are not feeling it, then you should understand what is wrong with you, right? Yes. So all this touch, pain, sensation, all these kind of sensation, you will feel through this. When this does not work, in most of the cases, if this does not work, can lead to paralysis, right? Because impulses are not going, no. So if this area is broken, if this area is not functioning, you may get paralysis. Okay, sense, you will not be able to sense. Generally in paralysis, that only happens. No, someone is touching you, no sense. Pain, no pain, right? So that is symptom of paralysis. So that can lead to, if there is any problem with this, it can lead to paralysis. Okay, the motor area gets damaged. All right. So that is your parietal lobe. Moving forward, very easy. Occipital lobe. Occipital lobe. So occipital lobe, what do you have? Yes, very easy, right? Occipital lobe, you have visual area. You also call it as occipital area. Occipital area. It is responsible for what? It is responsible for what? Yes, do this. Yes, it is responsible for seeing, vision. Yes. Analysis of Vision. If this is not working, everything is fine, okay? Your eyes are fine, retina is fine, everything is fine. But your occipital lobe, that is not fine. What will happen? You will be blind. You will just see what? But the light is going, electrical impulses are getting generated, going to the brain, which area? Your visual cortex area, right? Occipital area, but it is not able to respond. So what will happen? You will not be able to see. You will become blind. All right? Yes. Yeah. Blind forever, Gautam. Yes. Okay, so there is any problem here, the person becomes blind. Okay, completely blind. Yeah, that is occipital. Now, fourth, which lobe is remaining? One is remaining, right? Which one is remaining? I think temporal is remaining. Yeah, this is remaining behind the ears. Temporal is remaining. So which all centers you get here? Which all centers? Yes, auditory. So auditory will help you what? In hearing? Yes. Yeah. It also has olfactory area. It also has olfactory area. I was drilling you a lot, right? That is why it got disconnected in between. I should mute all first. Yes. All right. So we are back. Video is not working. Okay. Let me rework on this. What just happened? Yeah, I am back. You can see me, right? Yes? All right. Cool. So where were we? Here. You get so restless, no? Something happens, you start texting so much. Lack of patience. Okay, with time it will come. No worries. All right. Yes, so temporal lobe, auditory area is there for hearing, olfactory area is there for smell, right? And this is very, very strong in those kind of people who have strong sense of smell, obviously, and it is very, very prominent in dogs, right? Olfactory area is very dominant in dogs. Yes, very strong in dogs. We don't have that much strong olfactory area, otherwise we will become dogs. Yes, yeah. So that is olfactory area. Then you have one more area, vernix area. Vernix area. All right. So vernix area. See, I am telling you, you are able to understand whatever I am telling you now. Are you able to understand? Yes. So what is that which is helping you? Which area? It is vernix area. Okay. If I am telling you something and you are getting it, means you should pat your back. That's because your vernix area is functioning. Okay. So it helps you in understanding the speech. Okay. Broca's area, I'm speaking. Speech is there. But you are understanding it or not, that will be by vernix area. Understanding of speech. Understanding of speech. Right? Vernix area. Got it? Yes? Yeah, gustatory area. Yes, gustatory area. Someone is asking, gustatory is for taste, right? Gustatory is for taste. Yes. All right. So gustatory area, did I miss it? I think I missed it, no? Parietal lobe. In parietal lobe, you get somesthetic area as well as what? Gustatory area. Okay. Gustatory area. This is for taste. All right. Yes. So frontal lobe, which all areas? Frontal lobe, motor, premotor, Broca's, prefrontal. Your folding in the prefrontal area. Sulci, gyri, how much group of cytons, all these will decide how much memory you are going to have. Your prefrontal cortex. Okay. Also, you have voluntary controls, involuntary controls. Yes. What else? Broca's area, speech. Yes. Then you have what? Parietal lobe, somesthetic area, touch, pain, sensation. If this is not working, you may end up with paralysis. Gustatory area for taste in parietal lobe, only two. Occipital lobe, occipital, visual cortex, right? Your visual cortex area is your occipital lobe. Not functioning, blind. Temporal, auditory, hearing. Olfactory, smell, very strong in dogs. Vernix area, understanding of speech. Got it? Yes, yes. Yeah? Okay. Cool. So that is our forebrain. Okay? Yes, forebrain. In the forebrain, we have learned what? 4 lobes. What else do we have in forebrain? What else do we have in forebrain? Remember? Cerebrum. Right? So what we learned just now is what? What we learned just now is actually part of cerebrum, right? Yes? Part of cerebrum. You have 4 lobes in the cerebrum. What we learned just now is cerebrum. 4 lobes. Now we will be learning what? Other structures of forebrain. We learned cerebrum, 4 lobes. What all areas are present? Yes. Yes, Tarun. Yeah. Now we will be learning diencephalon. Second structure. Diencephalon. Diencephalon. It consists of diencephalon consists of roof, floor. It is like a room. Diencephalon is like a room. Room has roof, room has floor, and room has lateral walls. Right? Yes, room has roof, floor, lateral walls. Then only you will get room. Otherwise, it won't be a room. Right? Yes. So you have in diencephalon you get roof. What is roof? Epithalamus. Epithalamus is your roof, chat. Right? Coming to floor. Let's say this is floor. Floor will be your hypothalamus. Okay. What about lateral wall? I'm going to divide this lateral wall into 2 parts. I'm going to divide this lateral wall into 2 parts. Upper half and lower half. This entire wall, I will divide this into 2. Upper half and lower half. Okay. Upper half, lateral wall, upper half is your thalamus. Upper half is your thalamus. Okay. What about the next half? What about this half? This is part of hypothalamus. This is part of hypothalamus. So can I say hypothalamus makes the floor as well as the lower lateral wall of diencephalon? Lower lateral wall of diencephalon? Yes? Yeah. So epithalamus, roof, hypothalamus, floor and lower lateral wall, and thalamus, upper lateral wall. Thalamus, upper lateral wall, hypothalamus, lower lateral wall and floor, epithalamus, roof. Epithalamus, roof. Okay? Yes? Now, slowly we will see what is the function. Slowly, okay? No need to panic. Slowly we are going to learn. Pineal gland. Have you heard of pineal gland? Yes. Where it is present? Pineal gland. Where it is present? Where is it present? Yeah, I know you all have heard it. In brain it is present or not? It is present in brain. Yes, it is present in brain. I have given you 3 structures in diencephalon. You need to go for tukka. Okay? Just go for tukka and tell me from which structure you will be getting pineal gland. In which structure you will get pineal? Epithalamus, thalamus, hypothalamus. Okay, some of you are saying that it is hypo. Epi, Basavaraj said epi. Yes. So it is epithalamus. Okay. Your epithalamus will have what? Pineal. Pineal body. And you know that pineal body will secrete melatonin and all, right? Epithalamus also has choroid plexus. Part of brain, no. Epithalamus, if I am saying choroid plexus, this is forebrain, lateral wall. Where will you get forebrain? In the lateral walls, lateral ventricle, right? In the lateral ventricles, two ventricles we had seen, no, remember? These two ventricles, what will you be getting here? All this part. Forebrain, right? This part will be what? Forebrain. I told you that you get choroid plexus in the ventricles, right? So this will have your pineal body, choroid plexus. Now I need not tell you the function. You know the function of choroid plexus is to release CSF. Choroid plexus forms what? Cerebrospinal fluid. And pineal body, melatonin. Right? Coming to thalamus. Thalamus. Thalamus acts as what? We say it acts as relay center. Why? For what it acts as relay center? Any kind of sensation, any kind of sensory input has to go through thalamus. It has to go through thalamus. Any kind of sensory input. Okay, you have pain, you have touch sensation, all the sensation will go through relay center thalamus. It has to go to thalamus. Then only thalamus will guide them. You know you should go to this area of brain. You know you should go to this area of brain. So thalamus acts as station. It acts as station. Okay. All sensory input will go to thalamus and thalamus will direct them. But there is one sensation which does not go to thalamus. All other sensations go to thalamus. All sensory inputs go to thalamus except one. What is that? Smell. Awesome. All sensory inputs except one, which is what? Smell. This will not go to thalamus. This will directly go to your smell center. What is that? Olfactory center. Okay? Yes. That is your diencephalon. Thalamus. Coming to hypothalamus. Okay, I know you all are seeing time. It's 8:30. Thank you for reminding me that it's 8:30. Yes. All right. I think one student reminded me. I don't know who reminded. Yeah. Function of hypothalamus. Tell me. You tell me the function and then you are free to leave. Tell me the full form. You all are being restless, right? Restless is what? Betav. Bechan, right? Betav. Tell me. B stands for what? Can I say behavior is controlled? Behavior, emotions are controlled. E4, does it control endocrine function? Does it control endocrine function? It controls pituitary or not? Endocrine. T4, temperature, right? Thermoregulation. A, it controls your autonomic nervous system, right? Autonomic. Involuntary control, right? Autonomic, nervous control. Then your biological clock system. Yes. Anger also. Yes. It controls anger also. Your biological clock system. That is the function of hypothalamus. Yes. Temperature, hunger, all these, water balance, they all will be controlled by hypothalamus. All right. That is the function of hypothalamus. So what we learned? We learned two parts of forebrain, cerebrum and diencephalon. Yes, cerebrum and diencephalon. Yeah. What else we need to learn? One thing is remaining, which is olfactory lobe. So your homework, you can have homework, make flow chart of ventricles, brain parts and all, okay? Flow chart of that. Then learn the function of olfactory lobes. Olfactory lobes, all right. Then what else? Limbic system. These three are remaining. Okay. After this, we can go to midbrain. Midbrain, hindbrain. Midbrain, hindbrain, they are very easy, right? Midbrain, hindbrain. And after that, what we will be learning? After forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, what we will be learning? Brain is done, right? Your brain has forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. After that, spinal cord. Yes. So when we learn brain, spinal cord, your central nervous system is done, right? Yes. Then we will get reflex. This we will understand the concept of reflex action. Then what we will be learning? Central nervous system is done. Reflex action controlled by central nervous system done. Then we will learn what? Peripheral nervous system. Yeah. Then we will learn what? Autonomic nervous system. Remember? Sympathetic, parasympathetic. And finally, we will learn two sense organs, eye and ears. Yes. So tomorrow's goal is you should complete this. Yes. I'll ask doubts from this. And then we will start with a quick revision from this. And then we will start from midbrain, hindbrain, spinal cord. We will try to finish up to reflex, or we can finish till ANS tomorrow. Okay, autonomic nervous system. Till autonomic nervous system. All right. Thank you. Yes. All right. Okay, so I'll just do last thing. Okay, polling. Let's see if it works. Just let me launch it. I feel happy if I see this in polling. Yes, yes, yes. So fast you're doing. Awesome. Perfect. All right. Okay. So dinner is ready, right? You all are hungry? Yeah, actually, yeah, Prakriti Bunny. I logged him outside actually. Like, I am inside the room. My room is locked. He was coming inside and troubling. No, that is why I had to do that. I'm feeling bad about it, but yes, I had to do that. All right then, I'm ending the poll. Yes, you can have dinner now. All right. Yes, so we'll meet tomorrow. Yes, bye bye. Take care. Keep smiling.